Simon Harding Roots moved to the Crown Estate in August 2021. So almost exactly a year on, I went to speak to him about the estate's plans for the Haymarket area as well as the West End's post-COVID recovery.
This is a key part of this district that we want to really connect back into the heart of London. So the more traditional side of St James's, the Jermyn Street, St James's Street, which is very culturally rich with the arcades that link up to Piccadilly. Piccadilly itself, Piccadilly Circus, Haymarket, just beyond that with Leicester Square, Trafalgar Square, Pall Mall. I mean, it's an incredibly rich surroundings, but we're on a slightly desolate island at the moment which isn't properly connected. So I think our role at the Crown Estate in terms of being sort of a contiguous owner of land in this part is that we can bring that together. We can join those dots and really link through with the north-south and the east-west to encourage people to come through. At the moment, with the big blocker of Haymarket and the three-lane traffic sort of whistling down there, you don't really, you'd look from Leicester Square and think, oh, I don't really want or need to go over there, and it's such a missed opportunity for people to explore London and get to know it better. And equally north-south, I mean, just north of us we've got Piccadilly Circus, which needs some TLC as well. That needs some sort of bringing back to life and some environmental enhancement. Linking right through to Pall Mall, you could link that on a nice, lovely walk, so all downhill if you're going south, and then linking into the park. So there are these amazing opportunity to create new walking routes, which we're really focused on as part of the renovation of this quarter. Behind me is phase 1 of St James's Market, and then phase 2 is the next big phase for St James's Market, which is fronting Haymarket. Incorporates the Empire Theatre, which has recently been listed. So it's a sensitive, sort of classic London site, but again, what's unusual is the scale in terms of what we can do to regenerate this part of London and make sure it's an attractive destination, especially at the ground and lower floor planes, to encourage people to want to come here, to hang out, to have it as a destination, create a plaza in front of it, link it through to Leicester Square, Trafalgar Square, but also create, importantly, modern, really desirable office space that people want. And we keep hearing the flight to quality piece, and that the supply of really great quality office space in the heart of the West End is very limited. So our ability to create the space that corporates still desperately want to bring their teams and people back into London is also a great opportunity. But working closely with architects and advisors and occupiers to just really listen to what it is they want as we shift in terms of our customer requirements. That's really important as well. The Royal Opera Arcade is a very special part of our portfolio. It's a Grade 1 listed arcade, one of the first in the UK. And is directly adjacent to the New Zealand House scheme, which was the 1963 redevelopment, iconic in its time, and that wonderful juxtaposition of the old and the new. And it's how we create something that's relevant for the 21st century and something that's so beautiful and iconic from its time. And that's part of the excitement and challenge in the role that we do as a long-term placemaker. And ensuring that we can attract people back here. It's a bit of a forgotten gem down here in St James's, and the ability to get people back and enjoy it and wonder at the beauty. And it's a connection through as well, from Piccadilly Circus, which is a few hundred metres to the north, through to St James's Park, a similar distance to the south. It's a wonderful walk through, as it was designed to be originally, to sort of just to wander through gently and look at the shops as you wander on down. So we need to create that life and work through what best to put in here. Parts of the units on the side of New Zealand House are a bit bigger, so give us a bit more flexibility, but then the very traditional, much smaller units, part of the original Grade 1 listing, will be more challenging. So we have New Zealand House, we have a very strong long-term relationship with the New Zealand government, and we've relocated them out of the building, and we're going to do a major refurbishment and renovation of the 1963 listed tower, which I think is one of the most iconic buildings in London. And I know it's a bit Marmite, but it was an innovation in its time in terms of the curtain walling and the core and the air-conditioned space. And I think if we can do something in a retrofit that reflects that innovation and the 21st century way of thinking, what an amazing opportunity. So we're looking to work on that. The building is now almost fully vacant, and we hope to be starting on site there early in 24. But then also importantly, treating this area as a district. And again, I think this is something the Crown Estate has this ability to look at things in the whole and not just block by block. And I'm very passionate and sort of convinced this is the way we need to move forward. In terms of London and footfall and getting people back into the city, London is not where it should be. London, the West End in particular, is not at pre-19 levels, pre-pandemic levels in terms of footfall. And whilst you could wander around on certain days at the moment and think, gosh, London's really busy, everyone must be back, the data and insights not showing that yet. So that I think is a very sobering thing to have in our minds, which I remind my team and my board of regularly, and that we've still got a lot of work to do here. We're on a journey. We need to encourage people back. We need to win people back into the centre, and therefore we've got to look at how we do that. You can't just assume they'll come to go to the traditional retail street of Regent Street or to their office in St James's, because again, that you can't rely on that. So a big part of the thinking, which ties into the strategic piece, is creating or recreating and evolving the destination and making it a place you want to come, whether it's, okay, yes, you're coming into work on whichever days of the week you want to come into work on, because I think we all agree hybrid working's here for good, but then you bolt on all the other fun stuff that you can do, which you can't do if you're working from home. So you meet friends after work, you go to the theatre, you go clubbing, whatever it is, you can bolt that on. So not about just ourselves working together. It's very important that we work in with our neighbours and that we bring everybody together to think about how we can ensure we attract people back into the heart of the West End. After all, it's the heart of the West End. It's not just Carnaby Street or Grosvenor Street or Harley Street. So I think that's really key and very exciting, because we're all having to rethink this and evolve the model. And breaking it down, I suppose, into a couple of the key parts of our portfolio as the Crown Estate, over half of what we run and own is office space. So, whilst the higher profile elements might be Regent Street and some of the big names on Regent Street, which we can come to, the point about this being an office hub is really key, and ensuring that we continue to make that relevant and evolve that over time is very important. And again, that's not something to be afraid of. I think that's just something to embrace and ensure we can deliver it. And I think where we're fortunate as an estate, one of the largest estates with over 5 million square foot of office space, is that we've got a selection. We don't just have tall glassy towers. We have an incredible selection of small units through to very large units that should be able to attract a whole range of people. And we're doing more flexible space. We have one Headon Street, which is pretty much 100% occupied, where you take a desk or you take a much larger amount of area, and you walk in there and it's full of creatives and energy, and you think, wow, this is really good. And I think a lot of people wouldn't think that would exist just on that western side of Regent Street. Probably on the eastern side you think it is, but not the western. So I think that's very exciting to be in that position. And then on the retail side, which almost gets more profile in some respects in terms of is retail dead? And that was the conversation, has been the conversation for years because of the internet, of course. And I think now, and obviously we've seen some big lumpy demises around the department stores and looking at Oxford Street, but again, retail always evolves. I mean, it always has evolved. This isn't anything new. And making sure we're as nimble in that space as possible, I think, is really important. And we did it 10 years ago when all the big American brands wanted their big boxes, whether it was J. Crew or Ralph Lauren, and we needed to accommodate them on Regent Street. They wanted to be on Regent Street. They wanted to have all their merchandise in one store. That was it. And of course, it's very different now. They aren't here anymore, and that's not the model. You don't have all your merchandise out in one store in a big box. You have a selection, and it's obviously far more immersive, and creates a different type of environment to attract loyalty in the customers and what the customers want. And so we need to respond to that. We have a great example with Gymshark, which I'm really proud of for the Crown Estate and for Regent Street to still be attracting very much an online brand with their first single global bricks and mortar flagship store. Gymshark are an incredibly trendy but affordable athleisure brand provider. Ben Francis, a young entrepreneur, set it up from his grandmother's front room. Just a wonderful British success story that's gone global and is phenomenal. And you know, there's the British element to it as well, but it's this transferring across for somebody like that of that generation, valuing the need for bricks and mortar, the flag in a place like Regent Street. He wanted Regent Street. And we're seeing it with others coming through. We're in conversations with a few people now. And I just think retail is far from dead in terms of bricks and mortar, but it's just got to evolve and it's becoming more and more exciting. And I think that's good. The traffic movement on Regent Street is, you know, people look at it and say, oh, well, it's congested. But I mean, people who have a longer memory, it's always been congested. It's a street in the heart of the centre of London. It's likely to be congested. It's no more congested. There have been reports that emergency vehicles can't get up. That's not the case. And we've worked very closely with all of the emergency services. And there's an ability for them to go up the central the Meridian piece, so that it's all been designed in very closely with them, and the cyclists love it and the pedestrians love it. So all in all, it's an improvement very much on what was there before, and we have been monitoring that, things like vehicle counts and air quality monitors. So we're very hopeful that we can have some lasting positive impact around that, and it comes back to the point on encouraging and winning people's hearts to come back into the centre of London and get on that train, or hopefully train rather than drive in, or cycle in, because they want to, because it's a nicer environment than they remembered it. It's different, there's something else on offer, and you come back and think, oh, this is really nice, I didn't remember it like this. And coming back to work, not the drudge of, oh, just in, pop out for your sandwich, back into the office. You can be out and about, you can walk, you can sit down, and just it's a nicer destination.